So, hello, I'm Zoe Toy. I'm the executive director of Beacon, started back in 2019. And I really just try to support all of the different committees, the board. Um, we plan different events for the organization, keep the financials, basically everything to run it like a small business. But we're always available, Jess and myself, and Jess can introduce herself in a minute, to answer member questions. If you're having difficulties finding a certain resource or getting connected with this type of person or people that you're looking to reach, we're here for you. So don't hesitate to reach out. And you've probably seen our names pop up in your inbox plenty of times so far, but you'll keep hearing from us for the foreseeable future.
Jess, are you there?
Hello, everybody. My name's Jess Weathers. I have met, I think, most of you, but if anyone on this call hasn't met me in person, you've certainly seen my name pop up into your inbox before tonight. So it's nice to see everyone's faces. I am the association coordinator for Beacon, and I've worked with Zoe for the past 6 or 7 months. I'm really looking forward to getting to know anyone I haven't met yet, and really excited to see how this cohort turns out.
So with that being said, I'll explain a little bit about where I believe the cohort is coming from and the good intent that it has. This is a little bit of piloting. So I think that we could really benefit from feedback from everybody who is going through this so we can fine tune it. In the past, we've done like a new member orientation, about an hour, maybe broken up into 1 or 2 small group networking arrangements. And then, just kind of gone through some slides, explained in greater detail how you can get the most out of Beacon, and kind of some facts and figures about Beacon. And we'll go through that, but you guys have really, you benefit from a whole schedule built out. So that's going to be amazing. And I'm excited to see how you guys like it. And we definitely want some feedback. The purpose is really to maximize your experience. Make sure that you get a lot of value for your membership. And we're going to tell you how to do that. So I think we can do some quick introductions of everybody else that's on the line, all the new members. So if you would just tell us what you do professionally, you can tell us where you're located if you wish. Anything you want to share personally is great. And then, yeah, that's it. Just give us a quick rundown of who you are personally and professionally. If you can tie those two together, that'd be great. So
Susie, I'll go first.
Okay.
Since I'm not a new member. Hi everyone, I'm Jackie Linton.
Oh,
and
I'm sorry, Jackie, I didn't introduce you.
That's okay. That's
I
okay.
apologize.
I've been with Beacon a little over a year. And as Pat said, this cohort arrangement was our brainchild because when I started, one of the things I struggled with is really getting to know all the things that were available in Beacon. And we thought that it would be really helpful if you had a buddy system, if you will, or a group of people who were going through this together and you could support each other. So, as Susie said, I really hope you enjoy it. We put a lot of thought into it to try to make it as supportive and appealing as possible. In my day job, I'm an HR consultant, and I focus a lot on strategic HR initiatives. And personally, I like to travel, spend tons of time with my family, and just like to hang out with people.
Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate that. Thank you for jumping in. I really apologize for leaving you out. I need to get more than just the strip of photos of everybody or a video where I just can see so many, because that's not working for me. So I need to move on to a different configuration so I don't leave anybody out. So who would let's start. Cindy, can you kick us off with some introductions for the new members? You're not that new either, but
yeah, I would say probably 3 or 4 months. My name is Cindy Cotton, and Jackie's story sounds very similar to my own. I am also a human resource consultant. I started my own business about 4 years ago, and I provide HR consulting services to small small towns, small businesses, and a nonprofit. And I'm working to expand the HR services that I provide and also to professionalize exactly what I'm doing as far as my fee structure. And I'm hoping to find and receive feedback from everyone about that. Um, just to help my business because I really enjoy it. I have fun with it and it's enjoyable for me. My downtime, we love to travel. We've done about 5 of the 7 continents. Hopefully, we can do the last two. Um, I like to read and spend time with family also.
Great. Oh, that's great. Well, Cindy, I think you will definitely, this will be a wealth of information for everybody in terms of accessing other members that you can rely on to give you honest and open feedback. And just they're always willing to come to your aid. So I hope that we will find that to be true for you too, I'm sure.
Oh, and just to interject, so far it's provided more assistance than another group that I'm a part of. So I'm very glad for
Okay.
that. So yeah, no, I'm glad this is well worth it. Beacon is well worth it.
I totally agree, and I will get into why and how a little bit later. But how about Karen? Karen, would you mind stepping in and
Before
introducing
Karen
yourself?
goes, Susie, let's just try to pick up the speed a little bit so that we don't want to, I want to make sure that you get to deliver your content.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. I apprciate it.
I'm the official timekeeper, so I'll be popping in and out
I asked Pat to
periodically.
be my timekeeper because
That's okay.
I'm notoriously bad at keeping time. So-
That's okay. I'll be really quick. My name is Karen Shaw. I was actually brought on by Georgine. We met through being in the Education Foundation trustees together, and we've actually we're very similar, and our passion for service work is similar, and we've just become really good friends. And Georgine said such great things about Beacon over the years, and about 2 years ago, I started my own LLC. And thanks to Georgine's support, she's always been somewhat of a mentor to me as well. So I do mostly education consulting work and also some nonprofit grant work as a consultant. Do superintendent searches. I do school communications work. So with different school districts, the business side of, so I'm not an educator by background, but the business side of what schools do and nonprofits as well.
What do you do for fun?
I have a new puppy, so I have 2 dogs. So now that's consuming most of my time. And spending time. I have 2 kids in college and 1 in high school. So I love spending time with them when I get the chance.
Oh, that's great. Cool. How about you? I can pick on you. I know you well enough. Can we get you to just give us a brief introduction of who you are?
Yeah, sure. My name is Ku Yu. I'm a lawyer. I'm the general counsel for a company. We grow by purchasing gymnastics gyms for the most part. We have a little bit of equipment manufacturing and insurance brokerage. And I'm also separately on the board of men's gymnastics 501c3 that we birthed as a company. Fun. What's fun? I try to, on my free time, we try to go as a family to various different parks to hike. We were in May of last year. We were in southern Utah. We did we went to all 5 national parks and a bunch of state parks. We hiked some of it. Some of them we just, popped in and out with the car. Yeah. And back in the days, travel a lot on my own, but I haven't done that in the last 20 years, like overall. So I did have a dog in the city with a wife.
Yeah. Cool. I think also I would say you're a foodie. is I would classify you as a foodie also. Just,
Yeah, I do eat food, yes.
you seem that you have a discerning palate, which is good. So Alicia, let's give it to you for a few minutes.
Hi. So nice to virtually meet you all. My name is Alicia Donovan. I took some notes, so that's why I'm kind of looking off to the side. I'm taking notes about all of you as you speak. So, so I work with medical software consulting, specifically around a medical software system called Epic. I implement, maintain, and optimize that system. I focus mostly on the revenue cycle space, but I have my own consulting company and I can really source any application that the hospital could use from the clinical side to the billing side. And that's IT and operational. And I also can work nationwide. So based out of Hopewell, New Jersey, close to Ringo's, I know about Tabby's. And I'm looking to connect with other members and learn about everyone else's businesses, receive guidance on how I can improve my own as a small business owner. Personally, I have a husband, Dan, and my daughter, Fiona, is 1.5, and I'm pregnant with another baby due in April. I'm a musician. I play piano and guitar, and I paint and draw, though I don't really have much time for any of those things these days. But I am endlessly curious, love learning all the time. So very happy to meet you all.
That's great. Yeah, your schedule sounds pretty full, but I will say that one thing that you mentioned, being curious, we found to be a very common trait among Beacon members. So we can get into that a little bit more, but I think you guys are all really well suited. So Marianne, how about can we get you to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Hi. I'm Marianne Borneman. So several people have mentioned dogs. I have headset on because I have dogs and I have a Schnauzer puppy. And if anybody has ever been around Schnauzers, when she decides she wants something, she incessantly barks very high pitch. So between muting and the headphones, hopefully that will not become a disruption. I am a tax accountant. I specialize in working with entrepreneurs and small businesses. Particularly, my sweet spot is kind of the $500,000 to $10 million revenue businesses, but I do work with folks outside of that as well. But that's kind of my sweet spot. I do tax preparation, but really the value add of my business is tax planning and tax strategy, working with the clients to help them minimize the tax impact over their lifetime and the lifetime of their business. My company, I didn't even say the name of my company. It's Access Tax Solutions. So yeah, that's what I do professionally. Personally, yeah, I've got a puppy, so that pretty much takes up all of my time right now. Yeah, so pretty much I play with my dogs. If somebody can ever figure out a way that I can make a living sitting on my couch, drinking coffee and petting my dogs, please let me know, because that is my dream job. But in the meantime, I do taxes.
I'm working on that for you, Marianne.
You have kindred spirits in this group that would like to do that with any. I'm any animal and all animal kind of person myself, so I would love to figure that out.
I know the puppy is a time suck.
Yes.
I'm dealing with that too.
I had somebody ask me the other day why I didn't go anywhere while I was on vacation. I'm like, I have a puppy. Enough said.
You and Karen can start a support group.
Yes.
A
puppy group.
So funny. So Dennis, I think you're the last man standing. Can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Dennis Jackson. I own a company called Work Solutions, and I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm a little different spot than you guys. And I've been in business 13 years, but before that I was in healthcare, banking, retail, manufacturing, and logistics at companies Frito-Lay, 7-Eleven, different ones like that. So I have a lot of that experience. So what Works does is it's all about workflow. And so we focus on small to mid-sized clients. They'll have my dog's barking in the back, so sorry. They'll have some kind of operating system, some kind of accounting system. It's all that stuff in the middle that they get stuck with. And usually I always joke they live in Excel spreadsheet hell. And so we do a lot with logistics, manufacturing, construction, interior design firms, helping them get out of that. And they keep their current systems. We just bridge those gaps to make things work a lot more effectively. And it can be very simple and it can be very complex. If you watch Flip or Flop on TV, the guy that does all the kitchen cabinets, we manage all his inventory for his parts and pieces for the kitchen cabinets. And there's 3,800 different screws and hinges and everything else that can go into that. And if back here we have Costco gas, if you buy gas at Costco, we manage all of their crude oil buying for all the gas stations across the US and all that kind of stuff. And so we work with the small companies that do those types of things for large companies. My fun thing, I have a couple things. So besides my full-time job, I also have a podcast called WFH with Two Guys. And so we started that back during COVID. And it's myself and Benny's in Denver, and we try to have guests. So hopefully you guys will join us as guests in the future. And we just talk for 20, 30 minutes just about things that pertain to small businesses that they need to be thinking about, and just share best practices and kind of meet people there. That's kind of fun. The other fun, I love marching bands. And so in the county I'm in, there's 9 high schools. Each of the bands are about 100 to 150. They're not large enough to go to the Rose Bowl. We've submitted to take all 9 high school bands as one. It'll be the largest band to ever march in the Rose Bowl in 2026. We'll have around 1,200 kids marching in the parade. And I'm spearheading that effort to raise the money. It takes 5 airplanes and 35 buses to move all the kids and all the chaperones around. So we are working hard behind the scenes to make that all come to life.
And the instruments.
And the instruments and the uniforms and all
And I
that
was
fun.
at the Rose Bowl last year and was at the parade, and it's quite a magnificent thing.
Yeah, it's fun to go. We went 4 years ago, and it's a blast. So we're working to take. So we'll hopefully have the largest band to ever march in the Rose Bowl parade here in the next 3 or 4 years.
I love that you got all of those high schools to agree to it.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love marching bands.
Yeah.
So that sounds very interesting. We may have to, you're going to have to keep us up to date on that.
Yeah.
And Julianne has joined us, and I apologize. I said Dennis was the last man standing, but we have Julianne to introduce herself just and tell us just who you are a little bit professionally in person.
Yeah, no, I heard it. I've been on.
Okay.
So I just didn't have my face on, but I've been on the Zoom. So just had the video off.
Sorry.
So I'm Julie. It's okay. So I'm Julianne Smith. I'm in the greater Philadelphia area. I am in career transition right now and looking for roles in finance, process improvement, operations, or compliance. I have been attending Beacon meetings maybe since October. I forget which one was the first AI one that was held in King of Prussia. So got to go to that and have met people, and then joined. Well, actually, I didn't join the month later because there was some delays in processing at Beacon. So anyhow, look forward to get more involved with Beacon and understanding more about some of the offerings and committees and things like that. And for fun, I do enjoy travel. I lived overseas for a year during college. And so I love travel, especially international. And I'm also a foodie. I love a great restaurant.
Good. I think that's everybody. Have I missed?
I don't think you got Janine.
Oh, Janine, I'm sorry. Janine, you want to? I apologize.
Hello. Well, I know we're taking a long time on introductions, so I'm just going to say very quickly, I'm Janine Scaff. Very nice to see everybody. I've been in Beacon for about 4 years. I assigned the guides. I think you're all assigned, although I owe Karen a phone call. But I've got 3 to assign actually, and well, never mind. Okay, let's keep moving. So I'm in the nonprofit sector as well. I worked in development for a bazillion years, and I work now as a consultant and freelancer in the nonprofit development world. And for fun, listen, I like gardening. We can stick with that. I do some other things, but gardening is something that I can never let go of. So anyway, it's good to see everybody. Feel free
Thank
to
you,
reach
Jean.
out if you want a longer introduction.
Yeah. And I would encourage that of everybody. I will be reaching out to each of you that I don't know well or haven't met with before for a one-to-one. Because I find I never regret meeting anyone. I always take the opportunity to meet somebody because you just never know what might transpire. But Zoe, are you able to put up the slides, or shall I do it? I have them open on my end too. Oh no, you're already on it. Perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to tell you kind of a little bit about Beacon. Hopefully your sponsors have teed it up well to you and explained the difference about Beacon. And this is just going to give you a little bit of a insight into who the actual members are. There are all kinds of professionals. I work for a major corporation. We have a lot of solopreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of different industries, life science, insurance, all kinds of HR. That's a big one. We've got a lot of people in a lot of different areas, which is great for you as a resource. Most are director level and above. We got a little flexible there because we wanted to see. A couple of years ago, I helped a little bit with making sure that Beacon evolved into a more diverse group, and we have, and I think that's awesome. So we get a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different experiences that people can share. As Dennis pointed out, he's in Nashville, and that's interesting. We saw that we were having a greater impact and more people coming from sort of the mid-Atlantic area. So DC, Boston, we have somebody in Charlotte, but so we're actually finding that we have members of our tribe all over the US. So it's great that we can make it available, at least virtually to those folks, and we welcome you. So that's a good thing. I think, and the very center is at the crux of it. If you all have ever read The Go-Giver, that encapsulates the spirit of Beacon. I would strongly recommend that you pick it up. I would also be happy to loan it to you. It's just a quick parable. Won't take you more than an hour or two, but it really does capture the spirit of Beacon, because I think, the premise is that you do for others first, and then ultimately that, you receive benefit from that down the line. So we're not transactional at all. This is not you won't find that you pick up business immediately. I maybe you will, but I don't think so. It'll take you some time to get to know our members, get to know, like, and trust each other. And then after you've developed that relationship, then some wonderful things start to happen. I know Georgine I think you had a career change as well as got some business from Beacon. So that definitely happens. This is a business social group, but it's unlike any that I've ever been involved with. And I'm thrilled about that. It gets me more engaged because I know that the relationships I make they're going to pay dividends over the years. So how do you get there? How about Zoe? Let's do the next slide. I think that talks about it a little bit. It breaks down our membership a little bit more. This has shifted just a bit. So we do have more solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, owners, but it's still a great mix. We also have a lot of senior level executives and director level executives as well. So then you can see the breakdown by size of employee. So there's just a spot for everyone. Here are some of the industries represented. I mentioned earlier, I only caught on two or three of them, but here is a list. This is actually from our membership. So these are all the different industries represented from our membership. Okay, and here's all the different professions that we have represented by our membership. So Cindy was mentioning earlier that she would like some feedback about her fee structure. We've got some subgroups that I would strongly recommend. There's an entrepreneur roundtable. And then just the people that you meet that might be doing similar service work, I think you can get great information from them. And I find that to be true for everyone, no matter what you're doing. Okay, so we'll move on. Here's where I like to spend a little time, because this is, I have to thank the board for this, because they delved into what makes a Beacon member successful, you know, and who is a Beacon member? What are the attributes? And these are some of the attributes we found. Continuously curious, always learning. I have shown up in some subgroups where I know very little about the content that they normally go through, but I'm interested. I'm interested in different subjects, and you can hop into those subgroups. You don't have to be allocated to just one that matches with your professional identity. And I think that's great. It's just a ability to learn a lot of additional things. And we also are interested in personally developing ourselves professionally and personally. And I find that people are give back a lot when they're members of Beacon. Every one of you have mentioned other things that you do and other organizations that you contribute to. I think that's very common. And we can offer you some opportunities to do that too. There's a nonprofit group that Janine heads up, and there's some other really cool opportunities. So you'll always be informed about that. And then, you know, again, pay it forward, just a different way of saying it. And I think also this is one of those situations where you get out of it what you put into it. So I would strongly encourage you, no matter what it is, you don't necessarily have to become a member of or, you know, help to run a subgroup right away, but get involved, reach out to people. They're going to be generally very welcoming and very open to that. And so, yeah, I think that kind of encapsulates our members. Do we have another slide after this? Yes, here we are. Yeah, so this also is what makes Beacon Beacon. We have so much, there's such a wealth of knowledge, not just with our membership, but we have had members to reach out to speakers that have been fascinating. I think Julianne mentioned Paul Sloat's Economic Outlook. That's coming up. I don't necessarily, I mean, there's I guess an ancillary reason for me to be there, but I will be there because it's phenomenal. He's a wonderful speaker. It's very interesting. So I'd encourage everybody to come out for that. It's another opportunity to meet people face to face, and I think that's great too. So if you can't, you know, virtual, I've made a lot of relationships over COVID that were entirely virtual. So I would encourage you to seek out people and, you know, get some one-to-one scheduled. And I'm not sure that you have to look for any real reason or commonality beyond just getting to know each other a little bit, and how you can work together, collaborate, or just, you know, wind up with a great friendship. We've had a bunch of those too. Lots of volunteer opportunities. We have found that there is some feedback at some point. I think this was from the poll that the board had sponsored earlier, that members wanted some instruction on how to network effectively. I think it's not a natural thing for everyone. And I think it can be, you know, we can reduce the stress about it and simplify it a lot. And this is just a safe space to be who you are, and not worry about, this is my trade organization, this is my professional affiliation, you know, that's my competitor. There really aren't those concerns. And so I really think that allows you the freedom to be who you actually are, and those genuine relationships are great. And we have this was another thing, many meeting formats, as I mentioned, virtual and in person. A lot of the in-person ones are purely social, and people tend to really like that. But as I mentioned, we're having this economic outlook. That's going to be a great event. So we'll have, you know, someone to speak. And then we will, find some time to network at that same time, at that same event. Zoe, is there another one? Here we are. I've kind of touched on a lot of this already. Just dive in. Don't wait for your guide. Don't wait for your sponsor to explicitly invite you to anything. You will be welcome. So if it is of interest to you, please hop on the webinars, attend the meetings. And I do think that by volunteering for Beacon right out of the gate, even if it's a committee like what I'm doing, I volunteer for the membership committee in a couple of ways. I do this, and I also help facilitate small group networking, which I would really encourage you guys to get engaged with, because that's a huge benefit. Sometimes we do that a little bit here, but since you guys have longer opportunity and more touches, I hope that you'll be able to reach out and get to know each other one-to-one on this group, this cohort, and then expand it to all of the other members that we have access to. Is that the last slide? I don't recall. Nope. Oh, Zoe, can I get you to walk through this? I think you do a better job of this than I do.
And actually for this part, I'm going to stop sharing because this is one of the resources on the website that I wanted to do a brief look at the website and where you can find some of these resources. So let me pull that up.
Yeah, great. This will help. This will definitely help. Thank you, Zoe.
All right. So many of you have probably seen this page, although it may have been a while since you've come to our homepage, maybe since you've joined, or maybe you're here a lot and you're going to check out what events are on the calendar and things like that. But we wanted to show you events. I think people tend to find that tab just fine, and they're signing up for a lot of things on the calendar. But there's some other things you may not be aware that are here. First of all, this kind of encapsulates who we are. If you ever are talking to someone and you want to figure out a way to, explain what Beacon is, we've got our tagline, we've got some more information about who we are, why we have networking for life as our tagline. I try to keep this updated with some upcoming panel discussion or different events that might be coming up. This one's going to be virtual on the 30th, for example, and it's a DEI panel, really amazing panel that Ed Hankler helped put together. He's also on the membership committee. But yeah, so this is kind of a place where you can find information if you wanted to share this with others or just find a way to describe Beacon. We do have some more information about the history. The group was founded by a really visionary gentleman named Chris Pavlidis back in 2002. He kind of formalized the group, and really, he was the one that kicked off that whole idea of pay it forward. It's about building relationships. It's about helping each other. So, if you ever want to read his story, we have a little more about him on this page too. We've got a leadership page where, in case you're ever curious, who are the board members, who are the different committee chairs and subgroup chairs, who are the staff that you can contact if you ever lose our email somehow. This is all here for you. And we try to keep this updated as well. So sometimes you just want to see, oh, is so-and-so still leading that group? And you can find it there. Events, like I said, most of you probably already been to the events calendar. I won't show that just yet, but the member resources is really what I wanted to highlight, because this is a page that people don't often find, or if they do find it, they're not sure when or how to use these resources. So as a member, we have available to you a member directory, and that is, once you're signed in, you can search and find any current members of Beacon. It's really neat. So let's say you're at a meeting and you remember meeting Pat, but you can't remember her last name, and that's all you have to go off of. I met someone named Pat. You can actually just search the name Pat, and you'll see every Pat in Beacon. And then a lot of people have their profile picture. If you haven't added your profile picture, you can do that on your page in the member directory. But that's really a good way to find someone, or maybe you need their email. You can also search by industry. You can search by specific company. So if you wanted to see if someone works at 3M, you could type in 3M and you'd find that Susie works there. So that's a good resource if you just kind of want to find a specific type of person or someone that you are trying to connect with and you wanted to find their contact info. The send a community request, this will take you to the instructions for how to do this, but the first one that a lot of people do is their introduction email to all of Beacon to say, hi, I'm Zoe. This is my business. This is what I'm looking to get out of Beacon. This is what I like to do professionally and personally. Similar to what you did in the introductions, but you can send a longer form email and it actually goes to all the members. So you'll find once you send that, you get people who may reach out because they have similar interests or they worked at a company that you worked at back in the day and they want to connect over that. Any kind of thing like that. But that's the instructions for how to send this also apply to if you're having an issue in your business. Let's say, Cindy, you wanted to just put out some feelers and say, I'm looking to get some advice on the pricing structure for my offerings. That could be a request you put out to the entire community, and you'd be surprised the number of responses you'll get back. People just willing to chat with you for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, give you some insights. Sometimes people in job transition, they're looking for connections at specific companies. So this page where if you click through to here, you'll see a lot of different suggestions or different things that you're able to send as community requests. And then we have one-on-one networking, which some of you may have already signed up for. The app that we have is called Intros, and it's intros.ai, but we have like a special community link for Beacon. Basically, every week you can opt in to get a new introduction to a fellow Beacon member. And it tries to match you based on what you're looking for in terms of a match and what the other person is looking for. You don't have to do every week. You can skip weeks. You can skip a whole month. It'll just keep asking you if you want to match or not. So that's a really good way to get to know people one-on-one. And the other person's opted in, so they're more likely to respond and set up a time to meet with you. I'll get back to the new member guide in a minute, but we also have our video library, which contains most of our webinars. This is public, so actually you could share these webinars with non-members if there's something of value that you wanted to make available to a friend, colleague, whoever. We also have some that are for members only, so you have to be logged in to view them, but that just depends. There's certain webinars that are like a member perk, if you will. And then the D&I committee put together some diversity, equity, and inclusion resources, which we plan to add to in the very near future. So that's a great place if you're looking for a resource specific to that area. And then the new members start guide, this will be downloadable. I think there's one update I need to make to this. But really it's just a checklist or different activities that you can think about taking in the first 6 months or so of your membership. And your guide can also help with a lot of these things. So that's one of the activities we suggest, is that you have that meeting with your guide. Now, obviously, that's on them too to schedule it. But that's a really important part of your membership. I mentioned sending your intro email. We did just change the platform for this, so that's what that Intros AI that I mentioned, that's the new name for it. So that's the thing I have to change on here. Susie mentioned facilitating small group networking sessions. Those are they're all member led, so we have different volunteers who do 1-hour virtual networking meetings, and they volunteer to facilitate. So they help to make sure that everybody's getting a chance to talk, introduce themselves, and those are fun. They tend to cover both business and more fun personal interest topics. And then we also, if you are in the area, suggest you attend an in-person networking event. Learn something new by attending a webinar on a unique topic. It can be something in your wheelhouse or something that's not in your wheelhouse. We find a lot of people in Beacon like to cross those multidisciplinary boundaries. Even if you're a finance person, there's no reason you can't learn about technology or learn about leadership practices, things like that. And we also suggest you follow Beacon on LinkedIn, because we do post different updates there, sometimes member polls, member news, things like that. And then when you're ready, if you do feel like you want to take the next step, you can volunteer. And we've always got people stepping into different roles, whether it's a leadership role, like actually running a committee or a subgroup, or, maybe getting your feet wet with a membership committee opportunity, or helping to plan one specific program with a subgroup versus taking on the whole leadership role. So feel free to reach out to myself or Jess if that's something you're interested in volunteering.
Thank you, Zoe. You do such a nice job of that. I don't feel the need to try and replicate it because you do a great job. So what I think, I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. We don't have that much time left. I neglected to say in the beginning that any questions, comments, anything at any time is welcome. But, hopefully we'll have a few minutes at the end. But I think of equal importance is that we hear from Georgine. She has an interesting story and has had interesting experiences with Beacon. So I think that would be a good use of our time. Georgine, are you able to?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And I'll try and keep it short. Basically, as I said, I joined Beacon in 2014. And at the time I had a corporate career that came out of insurance and banking with a lot of M&A. And I was in HR leadership and then moved into operations leadership for an international company. And then in my last internal C-suite, I was working for private equity, publicly traded company. And I left that world and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And poor Pat, the first lunch that we had, if you want to hear, you can get a testimonial. I had no clue what I wanted to do. And she was very gracious and helped me to appreciate that I had no clue what I wanted to do. Did I want to go back internal? How did I want to go back internal? And I had some opportunities, but they were 80% travel. And one of our sponsors, Jerry Hampton, was my sponsor. And he was inviting me to stuff, and I didn't even realize that we had this career that Chris Pavlidis started the organization with the idea of senior level people who didn't have anybody to support them when they were going through career transitions or leadership changes. And so that became GPSEG, which then became Beacon. And I didn't even know that that was part of it because he would always invite me to these economic forums where there were lots of people and I didn't know there were subgroups or any of that type of information. So when I finally did join, I found out there was this wealth of knowledge. Long story short, lots of people, I met with lots of people because I am a little bit of an extrovert. And I decided to launch my own business in 2015. And I defined it. I didn't think I had any secret sauce that would apply outside of a large multinational corporation. And it ended up that I did, and that my interest was actually with small businesses. So I now work with companies under 10 million in top line revenues. And I work in semi M&A. It's usually with someone who has a mature company and they're looking to bring in a non-family member to be able to replace them as the CEO. And I help them transition both through the strategic aspect and can do the operational and the financial aspects, lead that from a PM perspective, working with lawyers and accountants and other types of trusted advisors. That being said, the big piece I want to go for our leadership and our support that we have out of particularly Zoe in 2020, when we were all dealing with COVID, on March 11th, I signed my first 2 women CEOs to do this kind of transition. And March 12th, we went shelter in place. And all my facilitation skills were all in a room with flip charts and seeing people. And to any of us that I know there's lots of HR people in here, all of a sudden we couldn't do that. But they wanted to get this done in the calendar year. And with Zoe's leadership, when she helped Beacon to pivot to make us to be able to be the hybrid that we are today, she not only helped me, but she helped so many of us who had small businesses to be able to still continue, or solopreneurships be able to continue to work and deal with our customers. And she was an unbelievable resource for all of us, but it was a collaboration of other people that were volunteers who understood, some of our tech people, and the programs and the training that we learned and the ability to test them in a safe environment, because if you were running a Beacon subgroup, we all knew we didn't know what the heck we were doing. And that was a lot easier to learn how to do polling and all the different things that were available with virtual and, using whiteboards in a virtual And it was just a wonderful, and has took me to where my business has actually blossomed since COVID because of the ability to do that from a virtual perspective. So I can't speak enough, but more so than that, it's the people, it's the relationships, it's the community. It's just a wonderful community. It's not transactional, as Susie said, and it's such a giving population that I joined leadership to give back even more because I have gotten so much out of the time I've been Beacon member. So.
Thank
And
you.
Georgine, I don't know if you mentioned that you're our board chair.
I did not.
And
As of
she
this
thought it was
past
very
Monday.
important to be here tonight, and we appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
So thank you, Georgine. I think her story is a really good insight into just one of the ways that Beacon can be a resource for you. We only have a couple minutes left. I know that some of you all have perhaps some questions. I know Zoe's information is really helpful if you want to ask about any of that. So before we move on, does anyone have any questions or remarks, or is this what you expected? What do you expect from Beacon? What do you want to contribute? Those are some things to think about. Anybody have any questions?
One question I had is how many members are there total in Beacon?
I don't know the answer to that. Does anybody? I feel as though that's something else that maybe somebody else can answer.
around 300.
Okay. I
But we
think
are looking to grow too. So that's been a great way for Beacon over the years to bring in new members is the people who are already in it. Because it is so much about community, I can talk to, 50 people about Beacon, but really what makes them end up joining is they meet the other people. So we always appreciate when a current member is willing to make an introduction to someone who may not have heard of us before, or is trying to find their professional group of peers. And we'll certainly have conversations with them, invite them to come to different events. And we do incentivize members that if you bring in a new member, you get 20% off of your dues the next year. So we've always been about like the word of mouth and growing the community organically with people who share the same go-giver spirit and the different attitudes that Susie talked about, curious, interested in learning, etc.
I'm sorry, say again. I didn't hear you.
I said, what happens next with the
with the cohort? Yeah, absolutely. So I can go over that. There's going to be a total of 5 sessions, including this member orientation. You will have opportunities, I believe, to amongst yourselves decide when and where you want to meet. If that's personally, face to face or virtually. And if I've got any of this wrong, please, any other Beacon people, please jump in. So those are, 2 informal gatherings that will be up to you guys to decide the when and who and why. You will also have a diversity and inclusion roundtable, which will be really good. And there will be some networking training. I'm actually going in the reverse order. Sorry. That's, is there something that gives them is this on the checklist? Because I'm going.
No, I was going to say, Pat, do you have a shareable summary, or is that still membership committee?
I don't know.
Saying with Pat.
I don't have anything. Pat or Georgine, do you guys?
Yeah, I have the outline that we've been working with, but it's kind of ugly.
Yeah,
So
maybe we'll turn that into a PDF or something.
Yes, we can turn that into something suitable to send out to everybody. And we'll put some dates on that too. I'm working on dates now for the networking training, which will be in February, the end of February, probably the 29th, but don't hold me to that. And then the diversity and inclusion roundtable will be in April. Your 2 informal gatherings can be, there will be one at the end. You'll have time for one at the end and one in the middle there. And we will give you some tips on how to organize those. Jackie, what else? What have I forgotten? What else should we tell them?
Yeah, so the whole idea was that we wanted to give you a combination of some content to really kind of help you navigate, and the opportunity to do some networking with a small group that's going through a shared experience together. So that was sort of how we had organized it. Pat laid out the schedule. The informal networking, though, is as important because to me, that's kind of what starts the community piece.
Yeah.
And because you're all doing this together, it may not seem quite so scary as if you were out there on your own. So I would encourage you to kind of, take those very seriously too.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a great point, Jackie, is that you've got people already to rely on. I
Right.
mean, I encourage every one of you to get to know each other, have one-to-ones.
Yeah.
One last thing, because I was very big in, well, Karen mentioned I do a lot of mentoring. Take advantage of the groups that you don't know. My guide told me I've had no sales experience. So why did I launch a company, right? You had to do business development. That's a whole nother thing. But when I came into Beacon, I had no sales experience and I went to the sales meeting and I was the only person there with the background I had. I made some great relationships because they didn't know what I knew and and I learned a lot. And it really helped me with building my business. And so don't be afraid. Most of our groups are open groups. There's a couple like the CEO Roundtable and PE, but even private equity has a couple times a year that they open up to learn about private equity. We actually have one coming up. It's going to be PE 101. I don't know if that's what it's going to be labeled, but that's basically what it's going to be. So, take advantage of things that are out of your wheelhouse, as Zoe put it. And
yeah. And I'd also just like to remind everybody, if you haven't already done so, get your new member email intro out there. You will be that is such a great way to connect with people because people will respond to that email. In the chat, I just put a link to some tips for writing your introductory email. There's also an example in there, but if you haven't gotten started on it, hopefully that'll give you a good start on it. And I know I was talking with Susie about it, and Susie said she sat on hers for like a month because she wanted it to be absolutely 100% perfect. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Get it out there as soon as you possibly can so you can start meeting people.
I have a kind of a technical question that I want to bring up because others might run into it too. So like as Zoe, as you were going through the demo, I brought up the website and was kind of poking around. And so when I log into the website, I have like a password app that saved my username and password that I had set up. So when I logged into the website, I used my username and password that I had previously set up, and that worked fine. But then when I went to the location for member resources and I went to send a community request, there was a section in there that says set up your email subscriptions. So I went to go manage my email subscriptions and it brought me to a different login screen and my username and password don't work there. So I had to create a new username and password with my email address and they don't jive. Is that expected or?
Yeah, so that's a system we have that it is annoying at first to set up your preferences, but once you set it up, it's kind of like a set it and forget it sort of system. Unfortunately, our website doesn't manage listservs the way we need it to, so that's why we had to get a separate software. And because it's a separate software, it basically when a new member joins, just basically sets you up with an account, and then we don't know what password you picked, so we can't give it the same password. So what you could do is change your password in there to match if you'd like. But yeah, that is something we have not quite figured out the solution for.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like unexpected. So I have it all figured out now. So I think we'll be good.
Yeah, no,
yes, it helps to have a password manager so that you can keep those two in there.
And ideally we'd have like a single sign-on, but that particular one does not jive with our other software. So but yeah, once you set up your preferences, and you can, I'll mention this for others in case they're wondering, you can set up to get each individual email as it comes. So, if you don't mind getting different messages every day, like maybe it's an intro email from a new member and it's a flyer about an upcoming event, Or if you don't like that, you can always do a daily digest, which means you'll get no more than one per day. And if there's a day where there's no emails, you won't get anything. And there's different mailing lists. So for people who are in transition, they like to sign up for the one job posting leads list so that they'll get the, anytime someone shares an open job, they'll get that in their inbox. But obviously not everyone wants to sign up for that. There's a few different other ones. But again, that's preference based, and you can sign up to get all of them as one big email per day, or not always a big email, but one email per day, or you can get them individually. Just depends on whether you like to see things quickly and individually or not.
That was a
Good.
great question.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank
Alicia.
That was a great question.
That confuses a lot of people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The things that we maybe have forgotten that were, because now that you say that, I remember that, but I hadn't remembered it. It's a good thing to address with everybody. So thanks, Alicia.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
been my pleasure, and I hope again, we're all available to you. I think would love to hear from you. Please give us some feedback. There is a great Pat, I can work with you to get like just a quick, I know you've got the outline, but since I went through it backwards, I feel the need to make sure that these members have it in the right order with dates. So
Pat, when I try to click the Dropbox link, it's saying this item has been deleted.
Really? Okay, I'll fix
And maybe
that.
that's just me. I don't know, because I don't have a Dropbox signed in on this computer.
Issue, Zoe.
Same thing.
I had
Okay.
the same issue. Yep.
Yep, it's doing the same thing for me, and I put it there. So I will fix that. My apologies, and I'll send the link again.
Anything else that we can help you guys before we go? Or is, I'm excited about the cohort. I want to be kept up to speed on how everything works out. Anything else anyone has for us? All right. Well, I really appreciate you carving out an hour of your personal time and your evening time. I think we hope that it was worth it. I believe that you will get a survey of some variety. Is that correct, Pat?
But not right after this session, but after the cohort sessions are over. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but along the way, keep us posted about what you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
if you have any feedback and you want to shoot it to Pat or Susie or anybody who you feel comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. The only way we improve is when we hear from people. So definitely open to that.
It is a member organization, so we want to make sure we meet your needs.
Yes.
Let us not forget.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you again for joining us. If you guys would like to, no, I can't do that. Sorry. I was thinking, I could stay on the line and you guys, if you would want to even network a little further tonight, but I don't think I can do that the way we have it set up. So I'll table that for another time, but, you'll be hearing from me, and, please, as it's been reiterated, reach out to anybody, but thank you for your time.
Beacon is the premier executive networking organization serving the Mid-Atlantic region. To learn more, go to beaconforlife.org.